What's going on, guys? Wei Ko from Grail Watch here with Constant Kwong at the Grail Watch Watch Bar, and we're here to present our latest collaboration. It is our fourth collaboration with Moritz Grossmann, and our third in our series of collaborations between Moritz Grossmann and Kari Voutilainen. And it is a version of our stunning untreated German silver Comblémine dial in a Benu 37, but this time in a stunning rose gold case. So, Constant, let's walk back in time a little bit, back to 2018, when we did our very first collaboration with Moritz Grossmann, and that was a Benu 37 with a beautiful Grand Feu enamel dial.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful one. So it looks like a plain dial, but if you go deeper, it is actually Grand Feu enamel.
That watch was really interesting because it was inspired by this exhibition that Moritz Grossmann had done, where they showed one of their vintage pocket watches paired with a pièce unique watch that had been made to be a companion piece, right? And I saw that watch and I was like, wow, this design language is really cool because it took the Moritz Grossmann identity and reduced it to the bare minimum. And that's what you have in that very first collaboration from 2018. You have a Grand Feu enamel dial, right? And it's really nice because when you look at it initially, is it lacquer? And then you look close and you're like, oh, it's actually Grand Feu. And then you have just the bare minimum elements of the Moritz Grossmann design language, means the long, very elegant stretch Roman numerals, the chapter ring, and then those stunning flame-treated steel hands that have been turned this signature color of violet.
So 2018, that was really interesting because that was before the hype on Moritz Grossmann. So what made you want to do a collaboration with Moritz Grossmann?
Well, I've always been really enchanted by Saxon watchmaking, and I really like the movements architecture in particular. I love the three-quarter plates in untreated German silver. I love the use of a balance cock that is usually hand engraved, and in this case also I love the idea that the escape wheel has its own separate cock that is also hand engraved as well. And from a movement perspective, when you look at those watches, there's such a wonderful sense of logic to it, and yet at the same time each element has been treated so beautifully also, right? It's like kind of like Zen reductionist movement architecture. And then of course you've got a big balance wheel vibrating at 21,600, and you have this really stunning swan neck regulator, which I've always really liked in their watches. So I said, the movements are really stunning, but let's do a dial that's actually really just like pared back, really restrained. And people really seem to have connected with that watch. I went to go visit them in Glashütte, and I saw one of their watches with a dial that had been made by Kari's company, Comblémine. And I said, hey, this is really cool. Do you think we could propose to Kari to do a series of collaborative watches with his beautiful Guilloche like Comblémine dials? So what is Guilloche? Guilloche is a watch dial that has been created using a vintage engine turning machine, right? And some of those are over 100 years old. And what you're doing is taking a large pattern and then reducing it in scale so that it fits on a watch dial, right? And this whole process has to be hand guided. And if you look, for example, close to the cannon pinion, you see how minute the detail becomes.
That's right.
So we decided to make a couple of series of these watches. We started last year with the Silver Bullet, which I know is one of your favorite watches.
Yeah, this in white gold example of the Benu 37 with the Kari Comblémine Guilloche dial. We made 6 pieces of that. Earlier this year, we made a 20-piece limited edition in steel and untreated German silver dial. Yeah,
the idea for this collaboration was that Moritz Grossmann's movements are created in untreated German silver,
that's right?
And the beautiful thing about untreated German silver is it has a tendency to patina and age and change color over time. It goes from, I guess, kind of a metallic color. It goes from kind of a silver color to kind of more of a slightly honey, almost goldish tone.
A bit creamy, but still metallic.
Exactly. And when you guys look at like old Lange movements, you can see exactly what happens to those watches over the decades. So the idea was like, could we then incorporate that into the dial? Could we take an untreated German silver dial, apply Kari's wonderful Guilloche to it, and have something that would sort of age on the dial in the same way that it would age for the movement.
Very, very cool,
and that kind of parallel aging process was really like kind of a cool idea, right?
Very cool, yeah.
But it was funny, so no, I think we can reveal to you guys the Silver Bullet actually came about as a mistake. So we received these dials and I was like, oh wow, these are really stunning. And then I was like, they don't really look like German silver to me. They don't have that warmth that German silver has. And then we got a message back going, German silver. We thought you meant sterling silver. So the dials in the Silver Bullet are actually sterling silver, right? Which have been stabilized, so they're not going to tarnish. And we decided to pair those stunning dials, because when we fell in love with them anyway, with a beautiful white gold case. And in 37mm, it is, to me, one of the most stunning examples of just monochrome, detailed, like nuanced beauty. And I know you love that watch.
I love that watch. We make 6 pieces of it.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna just tell you straight up. that's my favorite execution. Even though yes, it's sterling silver, but that's my favorite execution. And I wanted to buy one, and you know this story, right?
Yeah, I know. I think he's still a little bit upset that he was not able to purchase one, right?
Well, it is what it is.
He's thinking about buying one too, and so am I. So maybe it'll just be four.
And then next, we have earlier this year we, as mentioned, the 20-piece. Finally, now with the right dial on stainless steel, which with untreated German silver dial.
Yes. So the watch that we launched earlier this year was finally a steel watch with an untreated German silver dial, and this is the watch that will age both in the dial and the movement, hopefully in the same way. But even if it's like they age differently, even if say the movement's aging is a little bit more accelerated than the dial, it's still really interesting.
I mean,
right?
it's unique.
The whole idea is to start off with 20 uniform watches, and depending on how you wear them, how often you wear them, the exposure to the light, and so on, each of them becomes a pièce unique because each of them ages in a different way. Now, while we were doing that as well, we were kind of like sitting in the Moritz Grossmann manufacturer and taking a look at that dial relative to different case materials. And Christine Huter is like, you should do it with rose gold. And we said, why? And she put it in a rose gold case, and we're like, oh my God, that is so beautiful, because it adds this wonderful sense of warmth to this German silver dial, right? In fact, the German silver looks even more warm and even more kind of like golden in texture as a result of this case material. What do you think?
I mean, what can I say? You know, I think Moritz Grossmann's rose gold color is one of the finest rose gold color actually ever. I mean, compared to many different manufacturers, I think that their rose gold is really up there. And yes, I mean, you mentioned the violet hands, you know, reflecting back to this warm dial due to the case and everything. I think it's just lovely, and it makes it like, you know, there is this a really kind of a classical old kind of feeling which appeals to me.
There's just this sense of timelessness, like this. You feel as if this watch could have come from any of the decades in either the past century or in this century as well. Like this could have come from the 20s or the 30s or the 40s or the 50s or the 60s, or it could have come this year, which it did, right? The size is also an embodiment of that. It's a classic size at 37 mm. It's perfect on the wrist. Also, people don't talk enough in terms of how beautiful the Benu case is, but it is so elegant on the wrist with these kind of long, curved, attenuated lugs, and that contrasted with this stunning dial made by Comblémine. The watch is just amazing. The only problem that we had with this watch was, and you know, I'm just like my eyes being drawn to the sunray guilloche finish, contrasted with this high polished like ring around the second subdial, contrasted by a different pattern in the second subdial as well. The only thing that was the problem with this watch was by that time we got to this, she was like, I can only make 3 more of these. So we're actually only making 3 of these.
Oh my God.
And it's tough because I really want to buy one of these as well. So I'm in the same situation that you had with the silver bullet. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining us. This is our 4th collaboration with Moritz Grossmann and our 3rd collaboration on these beautiful Kari Voutilainen Comblémine guilloche dials. It is a 3-piece limited edition of the Benu 37 in stunning rose gold with its untreated German silver dial, which hopefully age in the same way that the untreated German silver movement ages as well. And then lastly, just to show you guys as well, what's really lovely about this movement is, look at the finishing, right? It's a frosted finish on the base plate, and all the writing on there is hand engraved as well. And I think that's such a wonderful sort of detail as well.
Well, details matters, and this is definitely the master of details, man.
Sir, a pleasure. Guys, thank you for tuning in. Bye.
See you guys.